Hello, everybody. Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today is March 1st. Happy meteorological spring, everybody. And we got some pretty active spring weather likely coming up after a break this week. We've started to get a taste of spring the last couple of days around the Pacific Northwest and California as well. Temperatures down there have been well into the 70s. I think there was some 80s as well for some of those valley locations. It's also been the mid 50s, the middle 60s. I think there was even some upper 60s for parts of Western Washington and Western Oregon as well. So very nice weather, but this is fall spring and we're going to get back into kind of typical winter weather here in the Pacific Northwest with rain and cooler temperatures coming next week. So let's go right into things. This is looking at the European model. This is general ridge and trough positions. This is the Gulf of Alaska. You can see we got a trough of low pressure off the coast right now, and we got a ridge that brought us our warm weather. This trough, it might bring some light rain and some drizzle to parts of Washington and Oregon, maybe even clipping southwest British Columbia. But most of this precipitation is actually going to be moving down to California, which is good for them down there. Going to be a relatively quick system. We get another ridge that builds in as we go into later Sunday afternoon into Monday morning, but then we got another system quick on its heels, taking that ridge up into northern Canada and Alaska. This will bring some more precipitation area. Kind of keeps it on the cool side of things. Another transient ridge tries to build in for like a day or so late next week. But then we get to a potentially very active weather pattern. Look at this. We got one trough that built into the west coast. Then this kind of cold air comes out of northern Canada, goes over the Gulf of Alaska, and merges with the storm system. Look at this. This is a very active look at things. That some models, other models have been also showing the potential of this. This morning's European model is a little on the upper end of the potential. This would bring some pretty active weather. This would bring thunderstorm potential, even bring cold enough temperatures for some rain/snow mix and maybe some wet snow the parts of Western Washington as well. This would also bring the chance of thunderstorms, wind potential as well. This is still about 10 days out or so, but models have started to agree that we're going to start shifting into a more active pattern with multiple troughs moving out of the Gulf of Alaska, and there is potential for some stronger troughs like what the European model is showing. But if we go over to the GFS model for this time frame right now, look at how it's a bit weaker. It still has that trough though, and it has a kind of lingers over the area, and it shows the potential for even more troughs as we go through. So the fine details are kind of all over the place, which is normal that far out, but the potential for a pretty active weather pattern as we go into the second week of March looks likely. So now let's look at 6-hour precipitation type of inches and sea level pressure. You can see our low pressure system off the coast. This will kind of die off and move into Western Washington, bring much needed precipitation in the parts of California, snow to the higher terrains of the mountains as well. But you can see most of this moisture hardly even gets up to Seattle. There's going to be some light rain, maybe some drizzle up there, and hardly any of it even hits southwest British Columbia, but maybe some lingering drizzle or rain showers will continue in the Monday morning. This precipitation will move in on late tonight in the Sunday morning and continue on and off through Monday morning. Some drizzle continues in the Monday evening and the Tuesday morning, as well as some remnant moisture. Then you can see our next trough that we looked at moves in, brings some light mountain snows and light rain to the lowlands later on Tuesday in the Wednesday morning. Continues some showers in the Wednesday afternoon and evening. Then we dry out for a couple days as that transient ridge builds in as we go through Thursday and Friday. And then look at this. So models have also been showing the potential for an atmospheric river before we shift into our cooler pattern. But this will start up likely Friday afternoon and evening for parts of Vancouver Island and southwest British Columbia with some very heavy mountain snow for parts of the higher terrain of southwest British Columbia up there in the mountains of the northern coast. And then look at this. This atmospheric river has the potential to be kind of significant. This is lasting. These are 6-hour increments. So if we play this out, that's like 8 increments of like 6 hours. So that's a good 2-day long atmospheric river. Precipitation even goes on longer after the atmospheric moves down in the California. So this would be an entire west coast thing, bringing precipitation from Los Angeles all the way all the way up to British Columbia. So we're going to have to watch this because this could bring some flooding concerns, because this atmospheric river would bring in some warmer temperatures as well. And this would lead to not that much mountain snow, only for like the highest peaks. So that would melt even more mountain snow for parts of Washington as well, in Oregon. But then you can see how there's some low pressure systems that develop along this atmospheric river as well. This is going to bring some potential for some gusty winds, localized windy conditions to parts of coastline northwest Washington as well. So definitely a stormy pattern. Then watch this as we go through past that atmospheric river. You can see some colder areas left behind. You can see some of these blues are mixing down the lowlands. This would have the potential for some showers containing maybe some snow pellets, a mix of snow, maybe some pure wet snow for some of the higher hills as well. So this is definitely this is classic March active weather pattern for here in the Pacific Northwest. Look at this, and then that's when that big trough moves in. Look at, we just get bombarded by precipitation and low pressure systems. Those would bring breezy to gusty winds for some locations. You can even get some windstorm potential with these low pressure systems riding to the south. It just depends on how strong this trough is. But you can see this is going to be a really great pattern for mountain snows, because once after that atmospheric river, the temperatures will cool down and the passes will hopefully start getting snow as well. You can get feet of snow in the mountains, which I'll show you here in a moment as well. Looking at wind potential with some of these systems as we go through this coming week, most of these systems are just going to bring some maybe breezy to gusty winds. You can see the atmospheric river, though, could bring some gusts up towards 50 for parts of northwest Washington and some parts of the coastline. And you can see potential for more gusty, breezy winds as well. I'll keep an eye on the windstorm potential, but for right now, the windstorm potential is not really that high. So we'll just continue to look at that as we go. There's also some very dense fog for parts of the Puget Sound today up in the southwest British Columbia. Some visibility got down below 1/4 of a mile, which is very dense and can be dangerous for driving as well. There's potential for some more fog over the next couple of days, but as that weak system moves through, it might help stir up some of the fog as we go through tomorrow into Monday. But then that ridge builds in a bit again. We could get some more drizzle, fog, low clouds as each morning and evening as we go through next week. So just make sure to drive extra carefully if you're driving around in the fog in the mornings and evenings, especially. Now looking at total precipitation inches, these are 12-hour increments that you can see generally light precipitation this coming week. But as we go in the next week and look at the atmospheric river, look at this. This is just a couple days. We go from like maybe a ½ inch at most for some of the mountains, and we're going straight to like almost 3 to 5, 6 inches of rainfall. So yeah, that could definitely bring some potential. But look at this precipitation, even as we go through the 16-day time frame. This is still fantasy land, but look at some of these totals are approaching 1 foot on the Olympic Mountains in Vancouver Island. So lots of precipitation. I hope that most of this turns out to be a fall of snow in the mountains, because we really need to build our snowpack up this time of the year. So now looking at total snowfall in inches, you can see very light snow for the mountains over this next week. That atmospheric river is not going to bring a ton of snow, and mostly rain to the lower parts of the mountains. But you can see southwest British Columbia, look at that. You're starting to get up towards 100 inches of snow for some of those higher areas up there. So multiple feet of snow up there in southwest British Columbia. But look at this. Then as we go through the 10 to 16 time frame, look at all this mountain snow. Look at some of these max totals are showing up over 200 inches for some of the mountain locations. So this would be a very beneficial pattern after the atmospheric river to bring mountain snows, measuring in feet for some areas. You can see some of the snow even reaching down the lowlands. So there's potential for some wintry precipitation mixing in it as well. Not looking at anything significant for the lowlands as is typical for March, but just something to keep an eye on. Now looking at this is 2-meter temperature anomaly. So average this time of year for parts of the western Washington, Oregon areas is generally, we're starting to get highs into the 50s now. So when you start getting 10 degrees above average, that's approaching 60, low 60s, middle 60s. But then as we continue, we're generally start cooling down as we go through. But look at here's the atmospheric river. You can see this band, this frontal system associated with the atmospheric river. Look at how it brings the warmer temperatures in with that precipitation, even for the mountains. But then look at that, the temperatures really crash and we start getting much below average temperatures with a potential 15 degrees below average. So then you can start getting temperatures in the 30s at night and the afternoons, especially under any of those heavier showers and potential thunderstorms as well. So look, skiers should rejoice with this pattern. Hopefully we can get a late season snow like storm up there in the mountains for you guys. So now looking at the 6 to 10 day outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center, this is temperature generally near the below average for much of the West Coast as we go through by the end of the first week of March into the first week, the second week of March as well. Look at this bullseye right on the West Coast, above average precipitation for much of the West Coast, a favor during this time frame. Same story. The Climate Prediction Center is also seeing that the models are showing that below average signal for the West Coast, with much above average precipitation as well. And you can see even California is on the bullseye this time. So lots of active weather to talk about as we go through the 16-day time frame. Still lots of details to work out, but a couple week systems this coming week, starting tomorrow, Sunday, March 2nd. Then we'll get some intermediate breaks before we fully go in the active weather pattern as we go through next weekend, as the atmospheric river comes in with blustery, the gusty winds, lots of rain as well, potential for some flooding issues with that. And then we go back into a colder pattern with potential for more mountain snow and stuff. So hope everybody found this video enjoyable and informative. Please hit the like button, subscribe buttons down below if you'd like to see more of these videos. And I really enjoy making these videos. I hope this helps you guys kind of plan your weeks out and kind of know generally what to expect weather-wise. So anyways, take care, God bless, and I'll talk to everybody in the next forecast video.